What's up, ladies and gents, Ghost here, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Elder Scrolls Online. This may surprise you to see this kind of a game here on the channel, but the truth is I've always been a big fan of RPG games, not such a big fan of the Elder Scrolls series, so I will tell you that these first impressions of the beta are really from a viewpoint of somebody who hasn't played that many Elder Scrolls games. I'm by no means like an Elder Scrolls fanboy or anything like that, so I'm just going to be giving you my honest impressions of what I think of the beta that's going on so far and how it compares to other MMOs that I've played, such as World of Warcraft or EVE Online. So here we are in the character customization menu, and I'm trying to sort of decide here what class or what race I should go for. I'm really not too familiar with any of them. I have played Skyrim, but before that I really haven't gotten that deep into any of the other Elder Scrolls games, so I'm not too familiar with all the races, all the classes, so I am actually sort of reading up about them here. So I don't want to bore you guys with all that. I've sort of skipped past that now, and I'm selecting here my class. So you can pick from a number of classes: Templar, Nightblade, Sorcerer, and Dragon Knight, I believe. I'm not too familiar with the other races, but I know that the Nightblade is a sort of rogue type bow user that operates around stealthy mechanics and assassination, that sort of thing. I actually went for the Templar, which is supposed to be a melee class that can also heal and sort of help support somewhat. It kind of reminded me of the Paladin from World of Warcraft, and I always wanted to have a Paladin but never actually did in World of Warcraft, so I believe that's why I went for that. Now, as you can see, the rest of the customization is very in-depth here. I'd say it's the most in-depth character customization I've seen from a lot of games. If you ever played Skyrim, you'll know that the system that they had in place there was also extremely in-depth. You can customize anything you could possibly comprehend about your character. You can even get a preview of how your character will look with veteran gear or novice gear, or without no gear at all. As you can see, I'm showing off my lovely, sexy Dark Elf body here. Now, before I went into the character customization screen, I actually had a placeholder for a cinematic, so when the full game comes out, presumably there will be an awesome cinematic that plays there. At the moment, there's just some text that comes up on screen that informs you that you are actually dead, and you have been sacrificed by some sort of a necromancer, and you are now in one of the planes of oblivion known as Cold Harbor, which is the home of the Daedric prince Molag Bal. So here we go, spawning into the very first area that you will encounter within the Elder Scrolls Online. This is a place called Soul Shriven in Cold Harbor, so this is your cell that you have been placed in. The graphics, as you can see, look amazing. I have everything maxed out here, and it looks a lot better than Skyrim did when it first came out, and for an MMO, I think that's really saying a lot. I would probably go so far as to say that some of the textures here and lighting effects are the best that I have seen in any MMO of date. So here we're going to interact with our first character. This guy's called the Prophet, and he essentially wants us to help him escape. It seems that all the other prisoners within Cold Harbor are trying to escape as well, and they come and let you out of their cell. And of course, in classic Elder Scrolls fashion, all the characters have voiceover. There will be no simple quest text here. Oh, no. All the characters have actors reading for them, and some of them especially famous. In fact, further down the line here, you actually encounter John Cleese, who's doing the voiceover for a quirky zombie. I don't quite remember the name, and unfortunately, I didn't happen to be capturing at the time when I bumped into him, so I can't show that to you guys, but I'm sure you can find it out there on YouTube if you Google hard enough. It does seem a little bit strange, though, because this zombie seems very unimportant to the actual lore within the game and the final story, so I feel they could have definitely made a little bit more use of a famous voice there.
Quickly, follow urgency.
Now, I do feel that having voice acting for all of the different characters definitely has its pros and its cons. The pros are, of course, that it makes the game feel extremely immersive, and that's one of the things that the Elder Scrolls is known for. But for me, one of the cons is that it just took the actors so long to read the lines. I could literally read what was on screen in about a quarter of the time that it took the actors to actually get the lines out, so I became very impatient. And after a little while, I just started skipping through all of the voiceover stuff, which I felt was just such a waste, you know. I mean, they put all this time and effort and money into making voiceovers for every single character within the game, and some people may wish to just relax, you know, take it easy and listen to those, but I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm a little bit of an impatient leveler. I will say that I've never found the leveling experience of MMOs to be the most exciting part. I really like the end game. At least in other games like World of Warcraft, I was definitely an end game player. That's what I aimed for. I made one class, leveled it up, and then I just played end game. I didn't really have much interest in leveling up the other classes and seeing the other starting areas and all that kind of thing. So that might just come down to personal preference. So here you can see a sneak peek of the different video options if you were curious about those. Quite a lot of options there: ambient occlusion and anti-aliasing, as well as being able to set the view distance. Alright guys, as you can see, I've skipped ahead in the storyline a little bit here. If you don't want to know anything about the storyline of the game at all, you probably shouldn't watch this, but it's not going to come as a huge surprise. Surprise, surprise, you escape from Oblivion and you end up going back to the land of the living. And this is really what I wanted to show to you guys, because as the Ebonheart Pact, which is the alliance that I am a part of, this is the first quest hub that you're going to encounter, and I really believe that this is one of the most important places when you start playing an MMO. This is going to give you the grounds of your leveling experience and what things are going to be like within the game. So I was just talking to Commander Rayna there, and she has given me a number of different people who I can choose to go and save. Here I am in Bleak Rock Village, which is the first little hub or NPC town that you're a part of. There are different crafters that you can go to, a lot of people, other players running around here, and I'm just going around exploring. There you can see somebody who's reading a map. That's a nice little animation that they have there to show that the person is actually looking at their map, as I am right there. And at first, I was just stunned just looking around. I mean, look at that windmill. Look how good the graphics and the artwork is in this game. It's really born on. It's very much Elder Scrolls, in my opinion. A lot of people have said that this game isn't Elder Scrolls in true fashion because you can't pick up every single object. Now, don't get me wrong. Here you can see I'm searching a basket. There are a lot of objects like this. Different kind of urns, baskets and things like that can be searched, and you can grab items from them. You can pick up fireflies, you can pick herbs and all that good stuff. But it's not like in Skyrim where you can pick up every single object that you find on a table. And in all honesty, that kind of thing just wouldn't work in a multiplayer setting. It works like that in Skyrim because it's a single player experience, and so I don't really see why people are comparing this game so much to Skyrim. Yes, it's an Elder Scrolls game, but it is not a single player RPG. It is an MMORPG, and those are two very different things. Alright, so next I wanted to show you guys how the class customization works within the game and how you can spend your skill points. If you level up, you will get a skill point just like in Skyrim that you can put into Magicka, Health, or Stamina. If you increase your Magicka, it's going to increase the damage of your spells. Health will of course increase your health, and increasing Stamina will increase your melee based damage. So I'm playing the Templar class, and as you can see under my class abilities I have 3 different trees here: Aedric Spear, Dawn's Wrath, and Restoring Light. So the first ability I went for under Aedric Spear is Puncturing Strikes, which is a number of consecutive jabs that you can do with your main-handed weapon. I believe this class is really accented on using two-handers, so that's really what I went for throughout the game. Dawn's Wrath, that tree is really about crowd control, and then you have Restoring Light, which is about healing yourself and your allies. I didn't actually bother getting any skills from that particular tree, as I thought it wouldn't be that beneficial for soloing within the game. So, as I say, I've only had around 5 hours of playtime with this class here, and I'm getting attacked, so I'm actually going to have to take that person out. Quite annoying as I was looking at my skills. Now, apart from your class skills, you also get your weapon skills, so depending on what kind of weapon you're using, just like in Skyrim, you know, two-handers, one-handers, bows, whatever, you can actually increase different skills within those weapons, and those are the same for all classes. So whilst your class skills will differ within the game, weapon skills will be shared across all classes, and so will most of the others. In fact, I think that the only skills that are different apart from class skills are your racial skills. Now, the combat system in the Elder Scrolls Online is very familiar if you've played Skyrim, for example. You have a weak attack, and if you hold in the left mouse button, you have a stronger attack, and then you can block with the right mouse button. So it's pretty simple when it comes to the combat. You're also going to notice that you have a hotbar down below that you can drag 5 different abilities into, as well as an ultimate ability on the R key there. I didn't actually get one of those, so I can't really comment as to what they are. Now, as for the questing in this game, I am going to have to say that it didn't really bring anything new to the table. It was pretty much what you can expect from any MMORPG set in a fantasy world like the Elder Scrolls. You didn't really run into that many random mystery quests that you weren't expecting, and most of them revolved around go and rescue this person simply by talking to them, or kill 10 of these different animals. And I'm not sure, maybe it was just my specific starting zone, and maybe some of the others are more interesting, but I really didn't feel particularly entertained. I played this game for about 5 hours or so, and I hit around level 5 or 6, so I have been by no means gotten a full overview of how the rest of the game is. Now, I do want to stress, guys, that these are complete first impressions of the beta. So first of all, this is a beta, and this is not the finished game. And second of all, these are my impressions after only having played about 5 hours of the game. So you're going to have to take this with a little bit of a pinch of salt. Now, that being said about the questing, I certainly don't feel that it was any worse than a lot of the questing in any MMOs, and it certainly felt a lot more immersive than, say, a game like World of Warcraft, where you had the voiceovers for all the actors, and the game just looks so beautiful. I mean, you compare the graphics of those two games, I mean, it's not even worth it. Of course, World of Warcraft is like 10 years old now, but the Elder Scrolls Online looks really, really amazing. So here I am on a quest that's led me down into one of the dungeons. This is obviously being one of the huge selling points of a lot of the other Elder Scrolls games like Skyrim. You will encounter random dungeons throughout your journey, and you can choose to enter them or not. And inside you may find quest givers, you may find chests that you can lockpick, etc. But I'm sure there will be plenty of dungeons and other player instances that you can enter at free will along your journeys as well. So here I've moved over to the second questing hub. I really wanted to show you guys the difference in the art within the game from hub to hub, and this is the land of the Argonians. As you can see, things are very different. There are like huge mushrooms sprouting out of the ground all over the place, and back in the Argonian town you will see that most of the houses there are really made out of mud. There are a lot of different creatures around. This guy Quarky here is one of the quest creatures, and he's like this giant lizard. Well, I suppose he's not that giant, he's more like a pet lizard, I would suppose. But all in all, I really felt like I had a different vibe from questing in this area, which is a great feeling to have in an MMO. When you move into a new questing area, you want to really feel like you progressed in the game and things have changed up. So there you go, guys, that is about going to do it for my very first impressions of the Elder Scrolls Online. Now, I would like to stress that these are, of course, just my first impressions. This is by no means any kind of review of the game. This isn't even the full game for a starter, and in order to do a full review of an MMO of all games, I really believe that you have to have put hundreds of hours into the game. You have to have got your character to max level. You really need to have played the different classes of the game, and you have to have experienced the end game to a certain extent. So this is by no means that. These are just my first impressions, really focused on the questing, leveling up, and some of the class and combat mechanics. You will notice I completely left out covering the crafting system within the game, and since I only got to level 5, I really didn't get into any kind of crafting at all, but I did notice myself picking up plenty of reagents throughout the world, so fireflies, herbs lying on the grounds, and all kinds of stuff. Not quite as many as you would find in maybe some of the Elder Scrolls games, such as Skyrim, but there was certainly plenty to be found, so that would really lead me to believe that there is a pretty deep crafting system within the game. So yeah, guys, it was a pretty enjoyable experience overall. I would say the most enjoyable experience that I've had playing an MMO game since I used to play World of Warcraft. So I'll almost definitely be picking up this title on its release and giving it a go. Let me know down below if you enjoyed the video and you would like to see more footage from the Elder Scrolls Online, because I know, this channel, it's more of a Battlefield focused channel, and some of you may be interested in this game and looking forward to it. Others of you may have never heard of the game at all and just generally not be huge fans of the RPG genre. So let me know your comments and your feelings down below. I might be doing some more footage from the Elder Scrolls Online once the game is released. As always, thank you ever so much for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.